Kenny Dalglish. No chant in the rafters, no viral montage, no golden mural at the gates of Europe. And yet he held Liverpool steady when the ground beneath it broke. He didn't replace Keegan, he erased the need for fire, no flair, no noise, just trophies, stillness, and a game that bent to his rhythm. He scored in Europe, then ruled it, managed legends, then outlasted them. He didn't raise his voice, he raised the weight. When Hillsborough shattered the sport, he stood at the funerals, made the calls, carried the grief without asking to be seen, and when it all got too heavy, he walked away. No headline, no self-praise, just a man who had given everything. He wasn't a spark, he was gravity, not the anthem, the spine behind it. This isn't tribute, this is correction. This is for the man who didn't play to be remembered but made forgetting him impossible. Subscribe for the legends who didn't point to the badge, because they were the badge. Kenny Dalglish was born in Glasgow, March 4th, 1951. No headlines, no prophecy, just tenements, cold air, and streets paved in defiance. He didn't grow up dreaming of fame. He grew up chasing the ball between brick walls with boots too big and hunger no one had to teach. His heroes wore Rangers blue, but fate handed him green Celtic. It didn't matter where he started, it mattered what he did. By 17, he was twisting grown men inside out in the reserves. By 20, he was lifting trophies. And by 26, he was already a legend. 167 goals, 322 games, 4 league titles, 4 domestic cups. He didn't play for applause, he played like every touch had to mean something. Jock Stein called him a student of space 2 passes ahead of the pitch. Dalglish didn't chase chaos, he smothered it. He didn't flash, he commanded. He became Celtic's heartbeat. But even hearts outgrow their cage. By 1977, every pass out of Glasgow knew his name. And across the border, Liverpool had just lost Keegan. The fire was gone. And Dalglish? He was already walking through the smoke. 1977. The fire was gone. Keegan had left. The flair, the roar, the chaos vanished. Liverpool didn't just need a signing, they needed certainty, a system, a calm that could command the storm. And then, Kenny Dalglish. No fanfare, no soundbite, just a £440,000 transfer fee, the most Liverpool had ever paid. They said he was too quiet, too distant, too cold. But the pitch listened, and history bent. His debut season? 31 goals, no adjustment period, no settling in, just immediate domination. And then Wembley. 1978 European Cup final. One touch with the outside of the right boot. Over the Brugge keeper, the winner. No celebration, no chest beat. He turned, walked back. Like he'd already seen it in his head. He didn't chase the spotlight, he warped it. He didn't try to be the next Keegan. He made Liverpool forget Keegan ever needed replacing. No tricks, no flash, just angles, decisions, like mathematics disguised as motion. He wasn't the spark, he was the circuitry. And the system didn't just work with him, it obeyed him. By the end of that season, no one asked for fire, because control had already won. He didn't demand the ball looked for him, he didn't bark instructions, he moved and the system adjusted. He wasn't the star, he was the structure, the circuit hidden behind the sparks. From midfield to the final third, every pass passed through him. He didn't chase space, he created it. He passed where no one was because he knew they would arrive. He made good players great. He made defenders second guess before the ball even came near him. He didn't dribble to dazzle, he turned to destroy. He paused the game mid-motion and bent it to his pace. And while others chased attention, trophies chased him. 515 appearances, 172 goals, 6 First Division titles, 1979, 1980, 1982, 1983, 1984, 1986, 3 European Cups, 1978, 1981, 1984, 2 League Cups as a player, 1 League Cup as a manager, 1 FA Cup, Footballer of the Year twice, 19th 79, 19th 83, but stats only whisper. Dalglish played like decisions had weight. Twice in 79 and 83, England's writers crowned him the finest in the game. Like pressure was a setting, and he never turned it off. When he scored, you expected it. When he didn't, he'd already written the assist before the defender even moved. He wasn't motion, he was the equation that controlled it. 1985. Heysel had happened. The country was grieving, English clubs were banned from Europe, and Liverpool? They were staring into the unknown. They didn't need a new manager. They needed a stabilizer. So they handed the club to the one man who didn't ask for it but had already been running it without saying a word. Kenny Dalglish, player, manager, at once. No script, no blueprint, just instincts and control so sharp they felt inevitable. He trained with the squad, picked the team, wore the shirt, wrote the tactics. And then, he won the league, he won the FA Cup, he did the double. 10 goals that season while managing every decision. On the pitch, he was the fulcrum. Off it, he was the architect. And he wasn't done. He brought in John Barnes, Peter Beardsley, Ray Houghton. Barnes and Beardsley weren't just signings, they were brushstrokes. Dalglish didn't just manage a team, he pioneered the rhythm that Klopp would one day echo. Dalglish painted Liverpool's new era with control disguised as art, turned Liverpool into poetry in motion with a cold steel edge underneath. He didn't do it with speeches, he didn't chase dressing room slogans, he did it by understanding space better than anyone in the country. He'd run 90 minutes then switch into a blazer and manage the rematch from the touchline. No drama, no ego, just dominance twice delivered. And when they lifted the trophies, he barely blinked. Because when you're born to command crowns don't surprise you. April 15th, 1989. Hillsborough. 97 lives lost. Families broken. A city ripped in half. Football didn't just pause. It shattered. And in the silence that followed, Dalglish didn't step back. He stepped forward. He didn't release a statement. He picked up the phone. He didn't hold a press conference. He held parents in his arms. He visited hospitals, sat with families, attended funerals, sometimes 3 in a single day. No cameras, no headlines, just presence when presence was all that was left. He stood beside grieving mothers, walked into rooms no one wanted to enter, spoke when no one else could, listened when no one else knew how. He didn't shield the club from the storm, he became the shield. While blame circled, he protected the fans. While authorities deflected, he refused to look away. And when no one knew what to say, Dalglish never left. Through all of it, Marina stood beside him. Quiet strength, unseen grief. Together they held the weight that should have broken anyone. He didn't ask for thanks, didn't explain his pain. He carried it because someone had to. And long after the final vigil faded, long after the headlines disappeared, he still carried it. All of it. 1991. Liverpool was still winning, still feared, still moving to the rhythm he created. But Dalglish, he was fading, not in skill, in soul. He walked into the press room, no speech, no warning, just calm eyes and a sentence that broke the club. I'm done. No explanation, no ceremony, just the quiet end of something enormous. He didn't collapse, he didn't rage. He simply stepped away because the weight had finally caught up. Years of grief, years of shielding others, years of carrying the pain that no whistle could end. February 22nd, 1991. He left, no statue, no parade, no ego, just silence and the space he once filled so completely. Liverpool didn't collapse, but something inside the soul shifted. Because Dalglish wasn't just a manager, he was the stillness that kept everything from falling apart. And when he walked, the silence hit different. He could have stayed away, stayed a legend, let the story end in silence. But real greatness doesn't retire, it rebuilds. He took over Blackburn Rovers in 1991. Not a powerhouse, not a dynasty. Just a club in the second division waiting for someone to believe. No banners, no legacy, just old stands, cold wins, and a board willing to trust him. He didn't promise the world, he just built one. He brought in structure, shape, standards, and then Alan Shearer, the biggest striker in the country, signed for £3.6 million, and in just 4 years, Blackburn were champions, 1994 to 95. From second division shadows, he built a champion no one saw coming and dethroned Ferguson's empire without blinking. Shearer was the spear, but Dalglish's 4-4-2 was the blueprint that outwitted United's dynasty. Beating Ferguson's United, beating the odds, beating time itself. May 14th, 1995. Molyneux roared, Shearer's fire, Dalglish's vision, and the impossible became real. He didn't boast, didn't point fingers. He lifted the trophy like it belonged to the blueprint, not the ego. He took a forgotten club from the second tier to the very top of English football, and once again he walked away. No lap of honor, no career book deal, just a perfect job, quietly complete. 2011. Liverpool were adrift, directionless, disconnected from the identity they once wore like a second skin. They didn't need a tactical genius, they needed an anchor, and so they turned to the man who never truly left. Kenny Dalglish came back, not for revenge, not for one last trophy, for the badge, for the soul. The club was fractured, the spirit low, the dressing room cold. He didn't promise greatness, he promised stability, and he delivered it. He lifted the League Cup, but more importantly, he lifted the standard. He lit the spark in Suarez and turned a fractured squad into believers again. He reminded the young players what it meant to wear the red shirt. He reminded the fans that someone still understood. In 1998, he led Newcastle to the FA Cup final. In 2000, Celtic lifted the League Cup under his calm command. And still the only place that ever felt like home was Anfield. No fuss, no speeches, just presence and a steadying hand when everything else was shaking. And once Liverpool could stand again, he stepped back. No farewell tour, no legacy chase, just a quiet retreat by the man who always showed up when showing up mattered most. They gave him a stand, the Kenny Dalglish stand. Anfield 2017. Not a gesture, a correction. They gave him a knighthood, Sir Kenny Dalglish, in 2018. Not just for trophies, but for Hillsborough, for dignity, for carrying what no one else could. And in 2019, they gave him a statue. Bronze stillness. Eyes forward, no pose, just presence like always. But truthfully, he never needed it, because long before the metal was poured, he was already carved into the heart of the club. In the quiet between songs, in the calm before kickoff, in every young player trying to move without needing to shout. He's still there, still watching, still walking the corridors, still the standard. No career-ending press conference, no branded farewell. Just Kenny where he's always been. You see him in the movement, in the discipline, in the way Liverpool plays when they remember who they are. He never wore the crown, he never pointed to the badge. And today, when Liverpool press with control, when they lead with presence, you still see Kenny in the shadows beneath the anthem. Because the real ones don't need to. They are the badge. Subscribe for the ones who didn't ask to be remembered, but made forgetting them impossible.